Hey, today we're in the town of Tombstone, Arizona, site of the big shootout at OK Corral with Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp. Here's our Butterfield stage stop, and we're at the Boothill Graveyard and Jewish Memorial, built in 1878. A lot of the people who died up here in the gun shootouts and the mines buried in this cemetery here. We're going to take a look and see if we can find some people we might have heard about. Anyway, Tombstone's a great, beautiful place. This is all Tucson down here. We got a fence line. It's all protected with ocotillo stems. There's great ocotillo plants that grow 30, 40 feet tall, like this guy here. You cut them off and you make a fence here. It's got these huge, huge thorns all over this guy. So we're gonna go inside. We'll take a look at this really cool cemetery. I'll show you a little peek from over the fence. See that? Little wooden headstones there throughout this place. Wow. You buy tickets here. It's $3. They'll read you the plaque about this place and why it's here. Then we'll go inside. Up here, little store, gift shop. Look at this. Boothill Graveyard, Tombstone, Arizona, dates to 1877 when prospector Ed Shefflin discovered silver and named his first mine Tombstone. Wow. And shortly after that, well, they find themselves in need of a cemetery and a graveyard, and that's what we got now. Originally, this place was called Old City Cemetery. And the graveyard was founded in 1878 and stopped accepting new burials around 1884. And the graveyard's called Boothill, denotes a settlement where men died with their boots on. Oh, like a big old shootout, like the shootout at OK Corral. So we're gonna buy our tickets and head inside. See if we can find some cool cemetery headstones. All right, so we're gonna start down here. In the bottom, there's like 250 headstones around this place. Let's take a look at some here. These are all original here. Rodriguez Patron, 1882. He's here. We got an unknown one, 1882. There's another unknown one here. Let's see who we got here. Ah, another unknown. Oh, Pat Byrne, 1882. Died of pneumonia. How about that? This is Eva Waters. She was aged 3 months. Scarlet fever did her in. This guy's Florentino. Now, he was murdered in 1882, and his body was found dead with several bullet wounds in his body. Sometimes people call this guy Indian Charlie. Ah, big old Opuntia Ingomanii here. Van Houten, or Houten, 1879. He was beaten in the face with a stone and he died. There's trouble over a mining claim, which he had not recorded. Look at that. Somebody left a little quarter for him. This is Tom Waters. He was shot in 1880. Now, he was the father of Eva Waters, we just saw. And the likely one that shot him was T.J. Waters. He shot over the color of his shirt. Didn't like his shirt. This guy here is Chaz, maybe Charles Helm. He was shot in 1882, shot by William McCauley, and two hot-tempered ranchers who disagreed the best way to drive their cattle, so they killed each other. Unknown here. Wow, this one's pretty cool. Little unknown. This one's all gated off. Let's see who's in here. In memory of Frank Bowles, born 1828 and died in 1880. As you pass by, remember that as you are, so once was I, and as I am, soon you'll remember me. That's a famous quote, and comes also from a cemetery out in Plymouth, a place called Sandwich. A fellow named Toby has the same saying on his headstone. This guy's Jonathan Barton. Died 1881. Not sure why. It's Lewis Davies, 1882. Look at that. A big old opuntia cactus here. This is the Haldeman brothers. They were hanged November 16th, 1900. Hanged and got the dignity of being buried here. That's too much for those guys. Thomas Gregory, 1882. And here's another Thomas Gregory. He's the son of the big Thomas Gregory. Died of meningitis. This guy here, killed by Indians. Holo Lucero. See if we could find him out here. Here we go. Probably killed in the little Apache skirmish. Happened out here a long time ago. Look at that. There's a creosote bush here. Little flowers coming in. Little seeds. Wow. Another unknown here. A couple unknowns. All up and down this whole row here. This guy here is Peter Smith, 1882. Now, he was 23 years old, native of Germany, and he's struck in the back of his head with a poker. He's killed by Thomas Donald during a fight. This is Mrs. H.C. Smith, 1882. Another unknown here. This guy here, Jasper Vaughn, 1882. He was shot. Unknown. And a bunch of unknowns here. Sorry. Jewish Cemetery and Memorial. There we go. Unknown. See who's on the end here at row 2. See who we have here. All right, row 2. Dan Kelly. Dan Kelly, legally hanged March 8th, 1884. This guy here, Bill Delaney, and Tex Howard. Oh wow, all together, all hanged. They're found guilty of killing several people during a robbery at a store down in Bisbee. They're all hanged in one scaffold in the courtyard, or the courthouse yard. This guy's Red Sample. Not sure about what his problem was. Dan Dowd. He was hanged too. Wow. Got unknown. There's another unknown here. Unknown. Pretty cool stuff. Wow, look at this. Jerry Sullivan, 1881. Not sure how he died. A lot of unknown people. Just dropping like flies out here in Tombstone. Barone Gray, suicide. Maybe your loved one got lost in the prairie. Dick Toby, he's shot by the sheriff. Wow, shot by the sheriff. And William Claiborne, he was shot by Frank Leslie in 1882. And Claiborne, while he's drinking, he sought to settle a real or face fancy wrong by Leslie. And he was shot down in front of the Oriental Saloon where Leslie tended bar. Little unknown here. Another unknown. Wow, look at this Ocotillo. Here, Margarita. She was stabbed by Gold Dollar. So 2 dance hall girls, they quarreled over a man, and Gold Dollar won. Man, how about that? This is not sure who this guy is. Let's see. The Load, 1882. This is Joseph Wetzel. He's killed in 1882. He was stoned to death by Apaches. Oh my gosh. Gnarly. Anyway, here we got Thomas Morgan right here. Not sure who he died. 1882. Here's a little unknown, unmarked grave. Never trust an unmarked grave. We got another unknown one here. Wow. John Hicks. Well, he was shot by Jeremiah McCormick. He's a superintendent at the Lucky Cuss Mine during a saloon brawl. There's another unknown here. And unknown. Dennis Cassadine. He's killed in 1879. James Hickey. He was shot by William Claiborne, 1881. He's shot in the left temple after drinking. Unknown, unknown, and unknown. Wow, Billy Clanton, Tom McLaury, and Frank McLaury, all here. They're murdered in the streets of Tombstone in 1881. Wow. So right after the tragic results of the OK Corral shootout, which took place between the Earp brothers and Doc Holliday, the cowboys, and these 3 men were killed, and 3 others were wounded at the shootout at OK Corral. Man, this is Old Man Clanton. He and several other men were ambushed on a cattle drive by Mexicans, and all but 1 man was killed. Gnarly. We got row 3 up here. John Beather, he was hanged, 1881. Got 2 cowboys here coming up, and they're drowned. This is John King, death by suicide. Ernest Bordines, he's murdered in 1882. He's a miner and native of Germany, and his body was found in his cabin with 4 bullet wounds in his body. Wow, another cacti. This guy here is called Teamster, killed in 1881 by Apaches. Those Apaches didn't like our settlers too much, did they? J.D. McDermott, he's killed in 1882, and his spinal column was fractured when his horse fell while he's crossing the San Pedro River. This is Judge Lindley Charles. In his younger years, he's one of the ablest members of the bar in California, and his health was impaired by overwork, and he died in Tombstone from working too hard. A couple of known guys here. And what do we got up here? John Martin, killed in 1882. He was killed while working on the Huachuca water line. He tested a pipe that unplugged a big blast of water in his chest, and he got killed. This guy's name is Rook. He was shot by a Chinaman. How about that? In front of a store in Fremont Street, now called the Wagon Wheel Inn. This guy's Joseph Manata here, 1882. This is Freddie Fuss. Now he's a small boy, and he died from drinking stagnant or poisoned mine water. Poor kid. Another unknown here. This is Mrs. R.L. Brown, 1882. She's a proprietress of a hotel and died of natural death. Well, presumably. Who knows? Unknown. Eliza Billings, 1886. And a couple more unknowns here. Unknown. This guy here is Francis Southey, 1881. Wow. Another unknown. We got another fellow up here called John Heath. All right, he's got a longer story. All right. He was taken from the county jail and lynched by the Bisbee mob in Tombstone in 1884. He was hanged from a telegraph pole right outside the courthouse. Gnarly. Anyway, this is crazy stuff. Another unknown. Oh. Here we got here, let's see, unknown. And this is Mrs. Stump. She died in childbirth from an overdose of chloroform given to her by her doctor. All right, Mrs. Stump. Unknown here. Another unknown. This is Frank Suro. He was shot over a mining claim. All these people, how they're dying. Crazy. Wow. Here we got a fellow called Bobby Jackson up here. If I find him, all these are unknown. Unknown little agave coming in here. Oh, I got the hearts. What are these? Bobby Jackson and Frank Hart, 1882. It's Malcolm Campbell, 1882. He was a devout Christian man who died of pneumonia. Poor guy. And here's Mrs. Campbell, wife of a restaurant owner of the same name. She died very suddenly of severe stomach cramps and spasms. And it sounds like poisoning to me. Pat Lynch, 1883. This guy's called Haynes, or Hayes. H.B. Cook, 1882. What else we have? A couple more unknowns. C.O. Ridgway, 1882. His team of horses and wagon were found on a road leading out of Tombstone. Investigation, that guy's just lying on the side of the road, unknown here. This guy's called Hickson, Hilly Hickson. It is said that his death never took a holiday in Tombstone. On this day, Hilly, a schoolboy, fell while walking on a pair of stilts and injured his back. He seemed to suddenly die of a spasm. Got unknown. Spasm boy. Thomas Kearney, killed in 1882. He's blown up in a blast. W.C. Bennett, he's a native of England. He died of heart trouble. He's buried at the Knights of Pythias Lodge. This is John Gibson. He's a driver for one of the ore teams. He fell from a wagon and his skull was crushed when the wheel of the wagon went over his head. Lost his head over that one. May Duty, diphtheria, 1881. Thomas Cohen, diphtheria, 1881. 11 months old. John McKenzie, 1881. Miles Sweeney, 1880. He was murdered. How these people get murdered out here? Absolutely insane. Let's see who we got here. We got row 5. Okay, W.M. Summers, 1882. He's a teamster for James Carr and just was found dead one day. Meade, 1881. Died a sudden death. He's a blacksmith for Sandy Bob's stables. One day he just found dead in one of the coaches. This is M.E. Kellogg. He died a natural death in 1882. Seymour Dye, he was killed by Indians. He's a woodcutter. They're bringing a load of hay when they're shot by Indians. And their victims were fallen from the wagon and dragged 150 feet. And here lies George Johnson. He's hanged by mistake. Oh, that's too bad. He was accused of stealing a horse. All right, well, we're wrong. They strung him up, and now he is gone. Ah, mistake. That happens. That's too bad. John Gillespie, one of the officers sent to arrest Billy Grounds and Zwing Hunt, and he was killed by M.R. Peel. He died instantly when, well, he wasn't killed. He's looking for the suspected killers of M.R. Peel, but he was shot by Hunt and died instantly in the head. And this guy here is M.R. Peel himself. He's a young mining engineer who was shot one night in his office working late. Right, so that guy tried to avenge his death and this guy just all fell apart. This guy here is Billy Kinsman. He was shot by a woman much older than him. A lot of jealous love going on there. 1883. Got George Fryer, 1881. William Alexander, 1880. He's an old prospector. And a blast went off and he died prematurely. Red River Tom. He's shot by Ormsby. This guy. This is Alfred Packrell. He's a young miner. And he died from inflammation of the bowels. I wonder what he had for dinner that night. This is Daron. He was shot by Slaughter. Wow, and Slaughter sought to arrest him and his team for train robbery, so he got shot. And we got an unknown here. Here we got Ben Scott and Al Bennett. These guys are teamsters, ambushed by the Indians, and they were killed. And who's this guy? William Grounds. He died of wounds in 1882. He shot in the face with a shotgun. One of the officers sent to question him in connection with the murder of M.R. Peel. M.R. Peel caused a lot of problems out here with this little murder. We got unknown. This guy's Hans Christensen, 1891. And Christina Christensen, 1892. Alright, lots of unknowns here. And continue on. More unknowns. More unknowns. Unknown grave. Alright. Hey, we got somebody over here. Delia William. She's a colored or black proprietress of a lodging house on Tough Nut Street. She died of suicide by taking arsenic. Sounds suspicious. Here we got Thomas Fitzu. 1882. There's Thomas. We got unknown here. And more unknowns. We'll get some we know here. And about the Kansas Kid. It's a cowboy. He's killed in a stampede. This is Daniel Oyer. Now he drowned in 1881. And Harry Curry, he was killed by the Indians. He was killed with Seymour dye while hauling hay. And here lies Lester Moore. 4 slugs from a .44. No less, no more. He's a Wells Fargo agent. This is Will DeLodge. Alright. It's McCartney. He was shot in 1882. Ralph Kohler, 1882. Latham Kohler. And Pelotina Kohler. This is Marshall White. He's shot by Curly Bill in 1880. He was accidentally shot as he started to take Curly Bill's gun. And that took place on the lot where you find the Birdcage Theater today. This is Stinging Lizard. He's shot by Cherokee Hall. Here we have Douglas Lilly, killed in 1881. And Lilly was a driver for the Sycamore Water Company. He's thrown from the wagon, trampled by horses, and died. That's pretty gnarly. Wow. We got unknown here. All right, Rosenthal, this guy, 1881. This is Charlie Storms. He's shot by Luke Short in 1880. So guns blazed again as these 2 gambling men went out to duke it out, and the Storms was shot in front of Oriental Saloon. That's where he used to deal short cards. Cheater. That's what happens when you cheater. Simon Constantine, killed in 1882 by a blast. And this is William Carpenter. And this was located by his son, who was his father's. He'd been the first Baptist minister in Tombstone. He died from nephritis. Bill Allenly. And this is Joseph Ziegler. He's murdered in 1882, age of 27. Was shot one night through the left breast. He lived only a few minutes. Shot by a quarrel. This is Alfred Cantrell. He's shot. Old man Cantrell was murdered by a man named Brown. And Brown was later hanged for his crime. All right, McAllister, 1882. Nicknamed Happy Jack. And he suffered a lung injury. He was shot in a fight over a piece of land, and he's sent to Tombstone to recover, but he died. We got maybe Doe here. Wow. Here we got Indian Bill. All right. Don't know when he died. This is Mrs. John Clum. And over here we got Jim Riley, 1881. He was murdered. 1881. 3-fingered Jack Dunlop, shot by Jeff Milton. Now Dunlap, he's one of a band of train robbers. He attempted to rob an express car, which Milton guarded, and he critically shot this guy. All right, we got unknown. How about that? Dutch Annie, 1883. She's called the Queen of the Red Light District. How about that? Good for Dutch. Peter Crawley, killed in 1881. We got Joseph Thomas here, shot in 1881. He's a teamster for Shearer's Lumber. And he was found with 4 bullet holes in his body. Hung out with a guy named Indian Joe. James Tolley, he's a miner employed by the Grand Central Mining Company. To avoid being crushed as a cage shot upward toward the timbers overhead, Tolley jumped and fell 250 feet to the bottom of the shaft and died. That's too bad. And we got Killeen was shot by Frank Leslie, 1880. Results of a disagreement over Killeen's wife. How about that? This guy, what else we got? 1882, McNominee. I think that's what this guy's name is. Shot. Gwen Will, 1871. All right. He was killed. Well, of course, everybody's killed or shot or died up here. So it's a cemetery. This is John Gibbon, 1882. He climbed on the golden stairs, and fumes from the pan of charcoal killed him. Guess that's how that works. Ormsby, he was shot. Don't know much about him. This is Cowboy Bill King. He was shot by Bert Alvord. It's unknown here. John Hicksman, Wickstrom, 1882. He's a Swede. He's killed when a well he was digging caved in. Oh, man, unknown. And up here we got 6-shooter Jim, shot by Bert Alvord, 1885. That Bert Alvord guy killed a lot of men. Gnarly. Don't want to be on his bad side. Here we got row 8. Yeah, we got up here. It's kind of fun. Okay. Row 8. A lot of unknown guys up here. Let's see here. We got Johnite Wilson. Johnite Wilson. Not sure, know too much about that guy. Let's see. Hancock, 1879. Okay, we got George Atkins, 1888. Confederate Soldier of America. Wow, he fought in the war. Let's see. What else we got here? We got this fellow, Pesquira, 1881. He was killed. Don't know why. This is G. Renaco. He was killed in 1882. He fell head first from a cliff. This guy here is Bronco Charlie, shot by Ormsby and Guadalupe Robles. So he gave shelter to some robbers and he was shot by the officers by mistake when they came to arrest the robbers. James McMartin, he died in 1881 of rapid consumption. George Witcher, 1882. He's a miner who was killed when a cable broke hurling the cage to the bottom of the shaft. Excuse me. Here we got Jack King. He's shot by Cherokee Hall. And here we have William Whitehill, shot in 1878. Row 9, we got some unknowns here. We got Steve Brammer, 1882. Mrs. Pring died of suicide while her husband was trying to sell mining shares. Mrs. Pring took a large dose of hydrate chloral and died. Not sure why. Anyway, this is McFarland, 1882. Unknown. This guy here is Jay Gardner. He's shot in 1882. Shot by Kellogg. 2 saloon men were also indicted for the killing. We got unknown here. And we got some more unknowns. Another unknown here. Unknown. The Brady brothers, 1883. They drowned while swimming in the San Pedro River. And one fell in, the other jumped in to save him, and they both died. This is George Russell, 1882. Right, he died while being operated on for stomach cancer. That happened a lot. Up here we have Fu Ki. He owned a grocery store here, and he died of poisoning. Here. All right. We got Archie McBride. He's the proprietor of the Grand Hotel. He died in 1882. And down here we have Johnny Blair. He died of smallpox. Little Johnny Blair here. Right? Anyway, that's too bad. They had to dangle him from a rope to get him in the grave because no one wanted to get smallpox. This guy here is called Hoplung. Okay, not sure who Hoplung is. We just know his name is Hoplung. This is Alam China Mary. He's born in China and died in Tombstone, December 6th. Right here. 1906 though. How about that? Okay, this is the whole shrine here for this whole family here of looks like the Qi family. Chinese, looks like the Chinese section up here. Zhong Li, or Tong Li, and Xing Wan, It's a whole Chinese little segment up here. Chink Smiley, shot in 1884. How about that? Ed Bancroft. I don't think he was Chinese, but he died in 1882. And we got Mike Noonan. He was killed by Indians. He's a lone rancher, and he was shot when we went out to chip wood. Wow. And what do you got more up here? Huh. It's pretty cool. Look at this cool cemetery. Unbelievable. So, I hope you enjoyed this little tour. I don't know. This guy here is Charles Gadella. Alright. Not sure of Charles Gadella. 1882. Looks like Raymond Vera. Right here. 1882. We got the Wieners Anton. 1882. George Hand. Now he was killed by Indians in 1896. And here's the last one we'll look at here is this little fancy one. Emmett Crook. Wow. Emmett Crook. Nunnally, 1946. And with the help of the townspeople, he spent the last year of his life seeking to restore as much as could be restored of this old cemetery. So he's the most recent fellow, but he did a ton of work up here on the cemetery. How about that? So that's the Boothill Cemetery of Tombstone out here in Arizona. Hope you like that tour. Thanks for watching. Bye.